Did you know that the goggles that work with the Avata 2 also work with both the DJI Air 3 and the DJI Mini 4? So I'm going to do that and show you how. Stay tuned. All right, now I'm going to fly the Air 3 with my Goggles 3. This will be interesting. All right, so we're going to take off with the goggles. This is interesting. All right. Very different than the Avata for sure, but kind of fun to have this immersive experience. Yeah, so it cuts the feed to the remote and just shows it with the goggles. All right, so we got the drone up in the air. Let me tell you about a couple of different things. I'll explain how to do this setup later in the video. Check the chapters down below if you want to skip to that. But first of all, you're not going to be able to change any parameters on your drone. So camera settings, gimbal settings, obstacle avoidance, if you want to turn it on or off, you got to do that before you connect to the goggles because you don't have that interface. It's not quite as clean as it is in the app. Anyway, another thing that you're going to notice is that horizon is super level, and that's because it's in standard gimbal mode, right? It's flying like a normal camera drone. If I want some of that FPV tilt, I have to change that gimbal action, or you can fly with the RC Motion Controller 3, which I'm going to do that as well, and that automatically will kind of put in some of those rolls and things like that. You can do that with or without head tracker. I'm going to show you my experience here with the head tracker because it's totally different. So I push the button, press the whole spot button to take off. So flying with the motion controller is surprisingly intuitive, but the head tracking is something else. It isn't actually quite as easy as it looks. It does take some getting used to. I tried it. You know, I had to have Chris try it. My buddy Josh was there with us. He had to try it. But it's such a unique experience, right? As you turn your head, the drone will yaw, right? And as you look up and down, the gimbal will move up and down. So you can kind of do some really neat things where you're flying the drone forward and then you kind of look to the left and the drone will yaw to the left. It'll look to the left for you. And doing that takes some real practice. One of the things that we found a little bit more difficult than flying with a standard drone was actually landing. It definitely takes some practice to be able to land this thing where you want it to when you're head tracking especially. Now here is a video flying with the head tracking and the motion controller, and you can kind of see that when it banks, it's going to kind of throw in that FPV bank, which is really cool. And as I kind of bobble my head up and down, it's not going to be quite as smooth. Now, I think with a little bit of practice, it could be really smooth. It could be really unique. You can get some shots that are going to be pretty awesome. You know, you could get shots like this flying your drone in FPV mode and working the gimbal dial. That's essentially what you're doing. You're working the gimbal dial with your head, and of course, you're yawing the drone with your head as well. So something totally different. You can do this with your Air 3. You can do this with your Mini 4. So now I'm going to walk you through how to set up your Mini 4 or your Air 3. All right, so we're going to walk through the process of flying my Air 3 here with the Goggles 3, and it's not all that complicated. Now you can see that it's currently connected to my Avata. So what I need to do is go through the goggles here and switch the setting so that it is connected to one of these two drones. Now you have to make sure you've updated your firmware with both of these drones, and you're going to lose some functionality. So if you want maybe to say turn obstacle avoidance on or off, make sure you do that. Set up your drones how you want them to be in your DJI Fly app before you go ahead and switch to the goggles, because you're going to lose a little bit of functionality there. The drone is powering on. I'm going to go ahead and power on my remote here as well. Right now I'm connected to this screen here. What I want to do is connect to the goggles. So I'm going to go ahead and in my goggles go to status, switch, Air 3. All right, I'm connected, it says. Oh, I have to link the goggles to the aircraft. All right, so step one here is linking the goggles to the aircraft. So I'm going to go ahead and press the button until it beeps, my power button on my goggles. It's beeping there. I'm going to go ahead and press the power button on my drone until it beeps. All right, now you can see we are connected. I'm going to hit the back button on my goggles, and you can see that screen here is now connected to my drone. Now I've lost vision on this remote here that I generally fly with my RC because it says watch live screen on goggles. Current controller can be used to control the aircraft. So I can fly with this remote here and my Air 3. Now if I want to connect my motion controller, I have to basically power off my remote here. All right, so I'm going to hold the power button on this and then the power button on my goggles. I got to connect those two things. You can see I lost transmission for a second because I was already connected, and now I'm good to go. And now this is working as a cursor, so I can now fly my Air 3 with this drone here. Look at that, I can control the gimbal with my thumb. Pretty nice. All right, so I can fly my Air 3 or my Mini 4 with both the motion controller and the Goggles 3. The process is the same for both. If you found this content helpful or just interesting, we'd love for you to give a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. But really, we'd love to have you back, right? We make this content because it's enjoyable, and we hope you enjoy it too. If you got questions, leave them down below, or just general comments, good or bad, we want to hear them. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.